Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and if you're new to the channel and you support my country, please subscribe. I have started vlogging at the very beginning of brutal Russian invasion, and I hope that together through my videos and not only, you will be able to witness Ukrainian victory. And today I want to speak about one topic and one advice that I actually receive very often in comments, and that is not to hate Russians. Luckily, today is the day when we don't have many news and I'm able to concentrate on some other things, because with missile attacks, explosions, destructions, sometimes I don't have time to reflect. Well, first of all, I am not a hater by nature, and I totally understand that all of this advice carry only positive vibes, if it's possible to say so, because of course evil and hatred poisons a person. But first of all, you have to understand that Ukrainians live in a little bit different environment than the majority of other nationalities because of war. Every day we have a threat to be killed because we are Ukrainians. So I cannot tell you that in general, apart from hatred or possible hatred to Russians, all the other psychological aspects of my well-being are okay. So one of the first things that you have to understand when you give this advice is that I am not living in a normal environment, same as all of the Ukrainians, with air raids, explosions, deaths, and all caused by Russia. Then, personally, I think that I don't hate Russians because that is a very persistent and strong feeling. And my day is filled with lots of things that I want to do, lots of plans, lots of emotions connected to my people and to you, people from different countries of the world that support Ukraine. So for me, hatred is something that a person experiences constantly, and it, erases its soul and so on. So of course that's not what I feel and not what the majority of Ukrainians feel, because we have many emotions and they change during the day, depending on the news we receive, depending on our friends and relatives and what they experience. But once again, a reminder, we are not living in a normal country where you can preserve your daily routine, you wake up in the morning, do your yoga, and you don't hate anyone. Imagine that your house or your university is destroyed by a missile. Of course, not compassion, not understanding is the first feeling that comes to you. But for me, if you'd ask me personally what are my emotions towards Russians, I'd say disgust. Disgust. I don't like talking about them. I don't like looking into their realities. Honestly, I don't like the sound of their music or their language. Once again, do not turn on super tolerant mood, because we are killed daily by Russians. They came to invade our country, so I cannot live and daily explain to myself that but perhaps they are good. Perhaps you have to understand. Perhaps all of them, millions of these people and hundreds and thousands of these soldiers were made by just one evil man. All the rest are good. Or maybe they are even in worse conditions than me. Who am I to judge them? No, during war, it doesn't work like that. So when you advise someone not to get angry, not to speak negatively, think of the Second World War and, for example, American soldiers and the way they treated Nazis. Would you advise them not to judge, not to hate Nazis? So Russians are the same. But coming back to my normality, I can honestly confess you that I think that hatred is not the feeling that I have to them, and it is disgust. Disgust threats to both. First, those who came to kill us, and miserable soldiers of Russian army who loot, who destroy, because they don't have a choice. And I also feel disgust to those good Russians that are not able to speak and are not able to protect their society, don't demonstrate their opinion, and live in this modern day Russian slavery or whatever. Both kinds arise disgust in me. It is not a permanent feeling, so you cannot worry that Ukrainians are sitting and hating. No, they are doing, they are fighting, they are building, they are volunteering, they are teaching, everything. But it's not okay to wait that we will talk positively about Russians or we will try to understand them. Another very important thing, even if we look into like a Bible or even if we look into history, before you can forgive your enemy, you have to defeat your enemy. Victory must come, and your enemy must express its sorrow and its guilt for doing so much crimes against you. So we can forgive Russians, or we can look at them as like, we can look at them only after they acknowledge that they have committed lots of crimes against Ukraine, after they leave Ukraine. But before that, when you advise us like to not to hate them, it's kind of difficult. I have read a lot of articles that claim Russian immigrants abroad are often persecuted for being Russian. First, I don't feel really sorry for them because in Ukraine you get killed for the fact you are Ukrainian. Killed, literally. Every day people are killed by Russians in Ukraine. So I am not super worried about a person who had conflict in a supermarket somewhere in the Netherlands because he spoke Russian. Honestly, this does not break my heart. My tears does not appear on my eyes. When I see grannies without houses with blood all over them somewhere in Kherson because of Russian orcs, I feel sorry. But anyway, I have read a research which says that Russian immigrants abroad report 10% of cases when they feel hatred based on their ethnicity, which is 14% less than all other national minorities. Lots of immigrants, not of Russian descent, in many countries feel suppressed because of their ethnicity, so Russians are not suffering that much. Moreover, I know there are some good Russians who support Ukrainian causes abroad, and most of them feel fine. Also, you have to look into the history of many nations that unfortunately border with Russia. Starting from the Baltics that were occupied, with Ukraine that is now daily destroyed and people are killed by Russians, with Georgia that was invaded back in 2008, with Chechnya, with Syria, with genocides like Holodomor, with the 30s and Stalin, who is now glorified in Russia. Many countries, Finland, many countries, Hungary in the 50s, Czechia in the 60s, many countries have experienced what Russia is. And that's why it is really difficult to feel positive. If you have in your family relatives who died because of that, if you know that, for example, a university where I defended my thesis in Kharkiv was destroyed by a Russian missile, my first thought is not to try and understand them. First, we have to win them. Then we have to show them their crimes. And after we see that they are awfully sorry, only then we can discuss. So first of all, a person has to be sorry for the sins it committed. So to sum it all up, I am not a hater. I honestly try not to think about Russians at all, but it's difficult because when I scroll my news, I receive lots of the updates on the destructions and murders they commit in my country daily. But on contrary, I start speaking about my country, updating you, attracting your attention to some beautiful sides of Ukraine and also the options, the way we can help Ukraine. And my nation is centered on this preservation of my country, but not hatred of Russia. Our only desire is for them to leave the territory of Ukraine and for us to continue living. But as long as they are destroying our houses and our lives, it's not the best idea to advise me to understand them. I cannot, honestly, and I'm sure perhaps I will never understand them. and why they did not stop Putin. And don't tell me that 140 million people cannot stop a bunch of criminals. Thank you so much for your understanding. Please forgive if I was emotional, but that's an emotional topic. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons. Slava Ukraini!